People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. Happy Monday. I hope you're all doing well and safe. I hope you're all, having a great start to the week. As you can tell, it really is Monday. I'm not hearing in no Arsenal gear. I'm hearing the grey shirt. We're doing grey shirt business, but it is what it is, people. Now, 12:30 over here. Good afternoon to those of you in the UK. As usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on who you are, wherever you are watching this in this world. Now, I always talk about Arsenal. I've got a million comments to say about Arsenal. I always like to take you lot's word on Arsenal, but there's more to life than Arsenal. So by all means, if you've got Arsenal questions, get them in and things like that. But I would like to just speak about football from a neutral point of view, because it's been a lot. You've seen a mad result in the Manchester United Everton game. Obviously, fellow Merseyside side Liverpool and Man City played a thrilling encounter. Southampton versus Newcastle was quite a good game. Obviously, Arsenal lost, but it is what it is, man. I like to talk about football in general. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Lovely that there's 19 of you in here so far. There should be 19 likes. Big up the Twitch gang as well, because they're always supporting the thing and whatnot. In fact, on that, I always forget to bring up my Twitch. Apologies, people. Let me actually go to my Twitch account. Community. There we go. So now I can be aware if anything mad is happening on Twitch as well. So yeah, big up all the Twitch gang and things like that. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. So yeah, let's crack on. Let me take what you lot saying in there. Big up yourself, like he said, touch the like button on your way in. What has he said? Pep Guardiola has blooded Foden the right way. He'll last at the top longer because of this. It's crazy, I think you're 100% right, my guy. Many talks, and I'm sure you remember the minute Foden broke in, obviously the money City spend, and let's be real, there is legitimate questions marks to have over Pep Guardiola and how couldn't Sancho play and a couple of other talented players. For me personally, I think out of all the young players that have left City and could have developed, I think he could have used them. But I think Sancho is the one he could have, because it's an elite talent thing. Like Foden. Foden is an exception to the rule. He's too good to ignore. It's only a bonus that he happens to be English. He happens to be from Stockport, so as local as you kind of get. Foden's a wonderful player, and when you look at the careers of people like Wayne Rooney and Cesc Fabregas, take nothing away. You've got a World Cup winner there, you've got a Champions League winner in Rooney. They've accomplished everything. Also, they were 16 years of age and went on to have good careers. But if you look towards the end of it, the end of their careers, their decline was quite sharp once it became clear their decline, and it was quite of a quick slope, innit? You can see Cesc Fabregas now, he's still got it all in him, but you get where I'm going. Foden might escape that. Foden's 20 years of age. He's been around the first team for a while. People saying, oh, Pep Guardiola this, he won't play players, he should leave, he should that. And they might have been right at the time, but Foden's 20 years of age. The minutes are currency. There's no substitute for playing. Yeah, and sometimes Foden should be frustrated. Sometimes he could have played. But look at the many players, training under Pep Guardiola is one thing. Training with David Silva historically, Fernandinho historically, Company historically, the bulk of attacking players that are there now, Sergio Aguero weren't involved. You've got Kevin De Bruyne, the things he could learn and the responsibility. You're seeing Foden rise, and there'll be a time Foden has to be the leader of that side. He is a leader, but you get what I mean. And he's had a fantastic education. If Phill Foden was Spanish, the way he'd be held in higher regards. I do think we need to protect him and not do what we always do with talents, where you praise them, and then obviously once they hit that bit of adversity, that same energy used to praise them is used to condemn them. Because right now it's the honeymoon stage for Foden. Everybody's wowed by everything. Sooner or later there'll be expectation on him to lead City, potentially for England as well, and definitely for me. I've been saying it. Foden, I was saying it for time. Foden, these sort of man, you've got to fast track them. They're elite talents. They're exceptions to the rule. He's going to be central to whatever Man City do. He's obviously, for me, his best position is probably a number 10. He can play in any of their midfield roles, but probably a free role would be the best. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. Bro, to be honest, it's hard keeping up. I'm seeing Foden play false nine, Gundogan, Bernardo, Sterling, everybody's taking turns to do that false nine stuff at City. Foden is going to be a great player, and we need to develop him. In relation to England, I don't think he's the only generational talent in the Premier League, but then again, I do, because I think that term generational is thrown around too much. I look at Bukayo Saka, I look at Phill Foden, I look at Mason Greenwood, and I think they're all fantastic footballers. They're all going to have good careers, and I think You know, Foden, it's a bit of a shame that Foden's a thing, because I think it's used as a stick to beat Greenwood, who had a good performance against Everton, and a stick to beat Saka. Foden is the best one out of all of them. And he's the only one at this moment in time, I believe, is truly generational. I think he was born to kick a football. Don't get it twisted. So was Greenwood and Saka, but generational, once in a lifetime. I think that's Phill Foden, really and truly. Saka and Greenwood are going to have great careers. And for me, for England, you know, with all due respect to Southgate, you know, we're at the time now where we've got young players who want to move around, want to leave clubs and things like that. Don't care. You know, there's many people that, you know, that there could be the next Phill Foden that stays there, that is at City, and he's not happy and he leaves. We're seeing all these young players leave. We're seeing all these leave clubs and go abroad. We're seeing all some exciting players now. What have I said here? I've said Phill Foden, Bukayo Saka, Mason Greenwood, you know, Curtis Jones, I think, had a good game yesterday. There's all these players popping, Jude Bellingham, Jamal Musiala, all of these sort of players popping around and popping up. With all due respect to Southgate, I don't think you can have all these innovative players and these daring players and things like that, and then have someone like a dinosaur in Southgate. Southgate has a handbrake. Southgate is not going to play all of these attacking players, ain't going to unleash them. Obviously, international football is a different sort of ball game, but for me personally, I think the two that I want to see in some sort of England starting lineup, I don't know how it works. Phill Foden, and you have to get Phill Foden and Grealish into there. You know, in the ideal world, you'd play them. You'd play a midfield three, or Foden, either Foden or Grealish. One of them occupies a pivot, and then you get a Henderson or a Rice in. Realistically, I think you're going to see Henderson, Rice, potentially Foden in the 10. If anything, Grealish off the left, and obviously Grealish off the left has potential ramifications for maybe Mason, even indirectly Mason Greenwood, Raheem Sterling, and Rashford, and all of these things. For me, I would like to see. I think Phill Foden can play in a midfield pivot. I think he's got the experience. I think he can do multiple roles. Like you're seeing, when you've got the intelligence, when you've got awareness, obviously you want you to lock down one role, but I think he can hold it up. Phill Foden is central to anything that has to be done for England, and obviously everything else is going to be amazing that he goes on and does. So he's going to be a great player. Grant Boyer said, "Why you speak like such a neek?" Well, considering you're saying that from behind a computer screen, and you're the toughest in London. I mean, come on, man. You know, being a neek is gangster. Ask your mother, man. You know, it is what it is. You're out here chatting shit on my live. What's your mother doing? I'm pretty sure she's got a tab upstairs creaming herself to the guy. You know how it is. Tell her we'll be there soon. You know. Furthermore, suck him on, Grant. But yeah, moving forward with people. No Arsenal talk. What's there? If you look at Arsenal related questions, throw them in. There's nothing to speak about in relation to Arsenal, really and truly. We've spoken about them. I've done enough videos on them. So yeah, Phill Foden's a lovely player. I'd love him to be at England, play for England. I'd love him to play for Arsenal, which he won't be. He actually called my team a dead team, so I need to be careful with the celebrations that I give him. But yeah, man, we've got some great players at English level. You know, even the one like Curtis Jones. You know, for me, you can't get them all in, but Curtis Jones, he's like Foden. He's shown that he is one of the players for the future. He's shown he can play off the flanks or centrally. He wants the ball. Obviously, this season he's getting a real lot of opportunities under Jurgen Klopp, and it's only going to be good for England. But sooner or later, we need a manager at the top level that reflects that. You can't have Phill Foden, Mason Greenwood, Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham, Curtis Jones, you know, Reece James, Callum Hudson-Odoi potentially if he develops, Smith Rowe if he keeps it up. You know, you can't have all of these players there, and then you've got people that are either dinosaurs, don't play innovative football, or like Southgate, sadly, it just seems a reluctance or a cowardness to play attacking football. If you had any minerals, you know, you get one of Phill Foden. Obviously, according to the opposition, you can change things, but you've got Phill Foden and Grealish. That should be your midfield three, two of your midfield three, and then you get someone like a Henderson in there or something like that. But we're probably going to see the same old tired back five, hella builders in the midfield, you know, maybe one creative talent. If you see Grealish, you might not see Foden and all of these things. And it's good because we've got good problems, especially with the front three, really. You know, Harry Kane's the striker, deservedly so. But on the left, is it Sterling or Rashford? If one moves over, is it Sancho? We've got good problems and we need to keep having that right now, man. Also, in relation to Phill Foden, Curtis Jones, Mason Greenwood and Bukayo Saka, it also gets me thinking that obviously not everybody can make it at a team. Not everybody's that makes it is going to be these sort of players. These lot were born to play football. But I think all of these players, all of these academies that these players play for, their teams, their academies, I think they all could have done a lot more in terms of blooding players through. But then I'm starting to think now, is it a thing where unless you're the Phill Fodens, the Sakas, and all of these guys, you don't have a chance of making it? You know, at that club, is it a thing? And to be fair, there is logic behind it. Only the elites will make it. You look at Trent and Curtis Jones. You've had, for every two of them, you've had the Woodburns, the Shea Ojos, the Solankis who was bought, the Brewsters. You know, for Arsenal, there's plenty of examples. For Chelsea, plenty of examples, and the rest of it, people. So it's starting to make me think, is it a thing where only the elite is going to blow people? Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. 10 minutes in, 125 of you. Big up yourselves. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Big up the opinionated Gooner. He said, on my work break, but showing some support, my guy. I appreciate that. You know, I really appreciate that you're giving your time up in your lunch break for, man. Love for the £2, the £1.99. I appreciate it, people. Thank you very much, opinionated Gooner, man. And have a good lunch break, really. You know, what you even got for lunch, my guy? It's snowing last time I looked out my window. So yeah, we'll have to see. Big up yourself, just a fan. Considering we're 11 minutes in and you're saying it's a great show, it means I'm doing something right. Keegan has said Saka, Lamperty, Grealish, Rashford, Saka, Lamperty, Grealish, Rashford, Greenwood, Foden. It's going to be crazy. Sancho, Curtis Jones on the list. It goes on, and it's a good problem for us. You know, you even got guys like Jamal Musiala who, you know, is flirting indirectly between Germany and England. We need to go and get that done. You know, for me personally, forgive me if I'm wrong, has Yunus Musa of Valencia played an official game for America in terms of not a friendly? You got to go and get that back. Obviously, Haaland is eligible to play for England. That one's a myth, and so is Gio Reyna of Borussia Dortmund. But we've even got to start doing things like that. If there's a little smidget of Englishness in them, go and get them as well. But like Armchair has said, man, great players, but no great English managers. We ain't got no real innovative ones in the first team setup. You know, if you're looking at them, you're looking at, to a degree, I'm not saying to give it to him, but in terms of innovative English managers, you're probably looking at Eddie Howe, you're looking at Graham Potter. There's probably a couple of other examples, but they're not going to, I don't feel they're going to be the ones to get the job at England level. You're more likely to see Sean Dyche, Sam Allardyce, who has held it, you know, Southgate, who is holding it. These are not bad managers. They're just not the managers for the players we have. Personally, it's crazy. And like you said, bro, we're going all of these attacking, man. You're going 5 at the back. Let's be real, it's tournament football. England need to be able to play a 5 at the back. You know, sometimes it's not going to be an expansive thing. Like me and you and everyone here, we're talking about all the English ballers. Sometimes you're going to need to only have a one of Grealish or Foden or whoever in the midfield, and you're going to have to go with a Henderson or Foden and somebody else like that. You know, I just think what doesn't help Southgate is he plays a lot of favourites. You know, I know Calvin Phillips isn't getting too many accolades, but I'd rather him than some of the people he calls up for international duty. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. Keep the opinions coming, people. Again, Ollie had a great one that was leading me to my next sort of thing I wanted to speak about. Lewis Adams has said Mount. Yeah, you can't discount Mount. Mount will go, and I think, you know, obviously Mount's a good technical footballer. But obviously, when I'm saying, for me anyways, Bukayo Saka, Sancho, Foden, these players, I find them more exciting about Mount. You know, I think Mount is slept on. Obviously, I like to poke fun at my guy Matisse about Mason Mount, but I couldn't understand the slander he gets for England and Chelsea previously under Lampard. Obviously, because he's playing all the time. Now, there's got to be you could say it's playing favourites. You could say he's a teacher's pet, but at the same time, it's a bit different, but it's like Xhaka. Regardless what you think about a player, there's got to be a reason a man is always used, whether you like them or not. I think Foden amounts a wavy player, very underappreciated. Unlucky that there's some more glamorous players. I think what I would like to see from him now is to lock down one role, because I think his versatility goes against him. Like you saw with Lampard, 1 minute he's playing centrally, then he's on the flanks and whatnot. I see him as someone that's able to play as a 10. But I see him as, long term, I personally see Mason Mount as a number 8, as an all-energy sort of 8. Not exactly Lampard, but elements of that, you know, because he can do a lot. First and foremost, he's got an engine. He's a decent finisher, which he showed at the weekend. I hope that gets a bit of people off his back. He's got good movement. When he's confident, he needs to just make sure his confidence is always high. I like him a lot. I think he can learn how to dictate a game. I think he his ability, that Chelsea can run through him a bit more. And I think Tuchel's doing good. We'll get on to Tuchel in a bit because I'm seeing a clear collective role for the whole collective 11, and individually there's a role now. Like sometimes you're seeing Mount play a bit further forward, then you're seeing him play as an 8. Kante right now is coming on to close games out. The way you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi being used, Reece James being used in a couple of roles. I really like how Tuchel's got it going, really, and that's the German efficiency he was speaking about. But in relation to Mason Mount and like that, my take on him, Ollie, is he's a good player. I think he's probably relied upon a bit too much, probably scapegoated a bit too much. I think he's a good player. I think he's underrated, really. I think he's consistent. I think he can play a couple of roles. I think he's got an eye for goal. I think he can take a set piece, Even he basically helped set up the goal when we beat Chelsea. He played it to Callum, another one that I think's underrated, and they gave it to Tammy. So I really like Mason, man. I'd love him at Arsenal, really. I like Mount, man, and I think he's, to a lesser degree, than the Curtis Jones and things. He's a bit different, He can do the running about and all that sort of stuff, but he's a technical footballer. When I think of Mason Mount, I'm thinking about his technical level. He's a good player. I like him a lot. Just needs to make sure he's always got that confidence, man. So that's my take on him. Jason has said, big up DG. Do you think, sorry, my guy. Apologies. Before that, I actually need to write some timestamps very quickly before I forget. I'll get into yours in a sec, people. It's just I'm conscious there's a lot of you that obviously are not here, and I want to make sure that when you can arrive, you've got some decent content. So apologies, my guy. I'm going to get to your question in a second. God as my witness. But what was that? 15 to 16. I'd say we spoke about, what did we speak about? Mount, Tuchel indirectly. Sorry, my guy. But yeah, moving on. Big up the 169 of you. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Jason has said on the 17th minute, just in case this is timestamp worthy. Big up DG. Do you think Arteta was foolish to sacrifice the FA Cup only to finish in the exact same position in the league so far? Difficult to say, my guy, really and truly. But for me, I'm looking at it as the long and short of it is the main goal of Arsenal is to get into Champions League, right? That's our goal. We fell out of it. We haven't got back in it. We can't talk about winning leagues and doing everything else until you can get back in that. So that's the immediate take. And then, so it's like Champions League's first. Obviously, dream world would be winning the league, which in a crazy season, if we were better, maybe we would. But dreamland, winning the league, my guy. Minimum top 4, or the immediate goal is top 4. Minimum, Europe. So obviously differentiating Champions League and Europa League. And then I think what would be the lifesaver for Arteta generally is if we could see what the team's shaping up. But that's going a bit away from the question you've asked me. I do think it is because, again, right now, maybe not right now because we dropped points, but right now it's looking like Arsenal can get Europe. Mathematically can still get Europa League and Champions League. We're still in the Europa League. But I do think we need to give ourselves every aspect, and we might, it didn't work by that same logic. The league, winning the Europa League, qualifying in the Europa League position, none of these luxuries we had last year. So, and we know how vital the FA Cup was for us. So again, in that, maybe we could have done a bit better because we got into Europe. And again, we don't get into Europe unless there's a massive cash injection from Kroenke or a miracle. We can't expect proper significant investment. We know how much we were struggling or told we're struggling, and maybe because the wage budget is being freed up, it is what it is. I think not being in Europe does more harm than good indirectly, because if there's less money coming in the bank, the purse strings are going to get tighter, which means we're even more unlikely than our last couple of years to get certain man in. But I do think we gave up too easily in our quest to retain the FA Cup, and it could be something that comes back to bite us, especially depending on how we do in the Europa League. Something which, like the FA Cup last year, I think across those two legs, Arteta can take 50% of the blame, and also the players, because we've effed up against Olympiacos to keep it nice. So yeah, man, big up yourself for that one there. So that's the best way I can answer your question. Sorry, people, that's another timestamp. Do you think Arteta deserves a new contract? Personally, I'm not sure. Well, right now he doesn't deserve a new contract right now because he's not showing me consistent way of playing, consistent that he's the man to get us out of it. He's showing all right stuff, but it is what it is. Please stop spamming. We will get towards your stuff. I'll get towards your questions if I can see it. Please allow it, man. Going back, I feel sorry. There's a couple, man, I feel sorry for in relation to the England squad that might miss out. I think not that I feel it's unlucky. It's like maybe Bamford, Ollie Watkins, definitely Danny Ings. These sort of guys potentially could feel aggrieved that they can't get a look in. Maybe even Calvert-Lewin as well. I'd probably say out and out strikers who go Kane first. Tammy Abraham, I reckon, goes. I reckon Calvert-Lewin just slips in that, and then he'll go with 3 out and out strikers, and then obviously he's got the luxury of Rashford, who could be used there, goes as a fourth technically. You've got Sterling, and you've got other things. So I think that would be it. I would love Danny Ings to go. I'd love Jamie Vardy to come out of international retirement, but I can't see it happening. I do think when you look at Ward-Prowse, he deserves a look in. Just in terms of how he's been playing, and also he gives us something different. He can pass the ball forward as well a bit. I think he deserves to go. I'd like to bring Calvin Phillips, but I think it's going to go down to playing favourites. I think Henderson deserves to go. I'm not going to lie, I'm a fan of Rice, and I think Rice has done all right this season. I would like Calvin Phillips to go, as I just said, but beyond that, it's all subjective. And I'm not going to lie, as much as how when we speak about England, I do it myself, we focus on the more attacking sort of talents because, why not focus on your strengths? You need a couple of those, like I always say, you got piano players, that's Phill Foden. You need a piano pusher, which is Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice obviously has a lot of quality on the ball, but you get the point. So, yeah, man, some man have to miss out. Bamford's probably going to miss out. I'd say outside a chance would be Wilson. I think he's done all right at Newcastle. James Justin, I think, is going to be unlucky as well. He had a very good season. Just very unfortunate that there's a lot of talented players in and around. I wouldn't mind Ben Godfrey getting a look in, primarily doing his thing at left back for Everton. But there's quality players. And the way is, not everybody's going to hit the heights. Like, I do think Curtis Jones, Saka, Greenwood, Foden, they're all going to be up there. But one of them might not, So I'd be interested to see where they are in a couple of years. Very interesting. Horseplayer said Netherlands versus England right now. Who do you think would win? Not a clue, my guy, really. I'd say Netherlands because you don't know what England's going to turn up. And I don't believe in Gareth Southgate, really and truly. So it doesn't matter. If I don't believe in the manager, you could give a plumber. I'm not a plumber, but you could give a plumber the best tools available. If you don't believe that plumber is levels, are you going to be convinced in the job he does ultimately? I want to be proven wrong, but I don't believe in Gareth Southgate. So he could have Lionel Messi and Neymar. It's not going to matter much because I see these young players. How long it took us to beg you to get Grealish involved, to get Phill Foden involved, to get Greenwood involved. Because we've been speaking so much about Fodens and Mounts and stuff, I even forgot about James Maddison. Now, I think Maddison is going to miss out. I think when you compare, maybe less so to Mount, but I think consistently this season he's had good and bad moments. I think I would bring Maddison, but I think Maddison's going to go, going to fail to miss out purely because Jack Grealish has been on another level. You've got Foden. You probably need to bring some other ones. Now, he could be, if we go off the last international one, he could be looking at Grealish as another winger. I don't know, versus someone who can play across all 3 midfield positions as well as on the flanks. I don't know, man. To be fair for you, again, it sounds dumb because Gerrard really ain't got no experience apart from the Rangers one. Big up yourself, Presley. I'd rather Gerrard have it than Southgate. I think Gerrard's doing the right thing. He's gone to Rangers. He probably is going to win the league, win the title there. He's getting his feet wet. I'm sure he's going to be linked with Liverpool, or even if Klopp's there, he's forever going to be linked with Liverpool. But I'd rather him than Southgate. But again, it's not enough to see convincingly well go on, but you get the point. Good shout, though, really. Just the fun said, Deluded, where do you see Arsenal's prospects in 10 years' time? I don't know, my guy, because I ain't got a crystal ball. I really don't have a clue. Just have to wait and see. But I'll be here to review it, Here we go. And Neil, here we go again. Any young English player has one good game and boom, he's a generational talent. Okay. You can see Phill Foden. I agree with you. Fans do take it excited. I do fully agree. But at the same time, you can see Phill Foden is a generational talent. He is a once in a generational one. I think if it was at a push out of him, Greenwood and Saka, it's down to Foden. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I do think that one there's bandage that banned around a lot, not just for English players, but everybody else. As it is what it is. Lampard in. If you can't make Havertz look like an attacker or whatnot, then it's a bit of a matter. I think Phill Foden is the next Jadon Sancho. Two completely different players, but fair play. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but fair play. Fair play. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. That's a bit harsh. If Mount goes instead of Maddison, then it's over before it's begun for England. I could understand it. On ability, I wouldn't condone it, but we've got to remember international football is a different ball game. You need to go with players that complement each other, you know. As well as complement, you need people that are different. So for every Foden and Grealish you bring, you have to bring the Hendersons and the Rices and things like that. And I keep saying those two examples. I'm not belittling them at all. Man said plumbing for dummies. Yeah, bro, something like that. And that's ultimately, this is it. We're going to see 5 at the back, 3 and a flat midfield 3. You know, we're probably not going to see these attacking players we want to see, you know. To be fair with you, I do agree, but Southgate plays his favourites. I think Tammy Abraham goes. I think Calvert-Lewin goes if he keeps it up. I think Ings has an outside chance, as do I think with Bamford, but I think they're probably punching, really and truly. Big up everybody. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Diaz said 2/3 years time. Do you see Saka at Arsenal? If we don't pick it up, I can see him replacing Sterling at City if we're not careful. Have to see what he looks like in the next 2 to 3 years, but I'd be inclined to believe so because he's contracted until then. Let's see where it goes, man. And listen, big up all the Twitch gang. Like you said, you see the attacking talent, and you know Southgate isn't the guy. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. You know, you wouldn't give Gareth Southgate Lionel Messi, a teenage Lionel Messi, a teenage Neymar, and a Suarez in his prime and say, work your magic, would you? You know, he wouldn't, he's not the guy for it. I think you got more luck trying to get Brendan Rodgers to do the England job, which is a myth as well. I'm not too sure for that because Doherty looks shit. Now, pardon my language. Now, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't saying that in the summer. I was saying that was a good signing for Spurs because it looked like that. I don't know what fraudulent Doherty's been doing, but keep it up at Spurs, innit? Spurs shouldn't have signed him when they found that he's an Arsenal fan. I wouldn't be up for that. To be fair, Cresswell has been in form, playing well. I think Luke Shaw deserves a look in as well. He's been playing well. He's not admittedly my cup of tea, but you got to keep it true. I think he's been doing all right. You know, if Jesse Lingard puts in a performance, why not? But I can't see it. I really can't see it. You're fully right, man. You know, I do prefer a lot of players over Tammy Abraham, but I think I think he's gone. I think he's there. To be fair, it's different for everybody. I just think Phill Foden is one. Like, he's head and shoulders above the normal 20-year-old. He not on a funny man thing. You know, he leaves you wanting more, and he you know, you're lost for breath watching him play. Football in them tight moments are unable to be described. As you can see, I'm struggling for the words, and I'm pretty sure the same sort of thing. It's like when you just went, for me, when you see it, you know. When you watched Messi, you knew he was. When you watched Mbappe, you knew he was. I'm sure those older than me have other examples, and I think Foden is that. You know, whether he continues is another thing. It's down to him. I think Jack Wilshere was a generational talent. It just didn't happen for him, really. And that doesn't mean other players aren't a good footballers. It just is what it is. Somebody says, where's your Twitch at in the description? It should be there. If I haven't, then Google's let me down. I mean, YouTube's let me down. But Deluded Gooner 187 for the Twitch gang. I appreciate the super chat. The disrespect Mount gets is mad, actually. It is. It is. You know, people look at him as a teacher's pet and things like that. But yeah, I think he's disrespect. People move like he can't play football. Mount's a bad boy footballer, really and truly. I think it comes down to Pep, mate. He'll make you feel 10 foot tall. Do you reckon players actually believe in Arteta to bring them to the top? It's down to it. Based on what I hear the players say, I'm inclined to believe they believe that about Arteta. In relation to Pep Guardiola, I think I agree, but I also think it's a bit disrespectful. And I always say that whenever a player is playing well, we're very quick to say, oh, it's the manager. But at the end of the day, it's down to them players to go out there and learn, to take the info on, to go out there and play. So I think, you know, Pep hasn't got a PlayStation pad, so it's not really. And when these players weren't performing, is it down to Pep? So it's obviously your manager has to make you feel confident, has to make sure you're able to do it and stuff like that. But you have to give credit to the players, really, because there's been times when players haven't been performing at Pep, really and truly. What have you said? Just funny we use generational now instead of world class. No, I think we've always used it. We've used the same terms. They're not interlacted, but personally, is what it is. You know, to do agree somewhat. Big up everyone. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. More people here than I thought it was, man. Did I hear about the Mike Dean abuse? Yes, I did. I can share the screen with you. 1 second. Allow me, people. I haven't had breakfast. I gotta eat where I can. But let me share the screen with you guys. Shouldn't talk with him mouthful. Let me share the screen with you guys, and let's talk about Mike Dean really quickly, just because I was reading that before I actually came on with you guys. Now, first things first. Naturally, disclaimer for those who don't know already, who don't know already. Clearly, and I guess I speak for every sane person in the live chat right now. We don't advocate death threats. We don't advocate abuse. We don't advocate social media abuse. And we're finding out now, apparently, social media companies are trying to crack down on stuff, because I'm pretty sure it's another weekend where there's iffy performances. And again, Tashabi's been racially abused. I'm sure there's every other examples, because you can see it every day. There's a next one coming out. So whether it's racially abused, whether it's just abuse downright, we don't, and certainly not deaf in it. Certainly not deaf. My opinions on Mike Dean as a person, I think he's a showman. I think he is someone that symbolizes the lack of integrities with referees. Referees have to remain impartial as much as they can and seem like, and give off the impression to the fans, the players, and everybody that they want to do nothing more than get the decisions right and run the game in the best way. I think Mike Dean, time and time again, makes it all about him, lives for it all to be about him, and wants nothing to do with nothing but him. From the way he waves referee flags, I mean the cards, to everything else, he just makes it all about him. That being said, he doesn't deserve racial abuse. I'm sure this is in relation to Souček. Now, Thomas Souček's red card apparently has been rescinded. How Mike Dean could obviously look at the VAR monitor and still condemn him to a red card, it's really annoying for me. I don't advocate death threats, and apparently he's asked not to officiate weekend Premier League fixtures after receiving death threats. Again, don't advocate death threats, but he should have been taken off refereeing duty long time ago, really. You know, he really should have, because again, the integrity and the ability of the man has been called into contempt. And it's not just him, there's several, there's several. Craig Pawson, I'm always going to say him. There's not really one good referee, really and truly. Apparently, like you can see here, Mike Dean, big up the Twitch gang as well. Big up the Twitch gang. Mike Dean has asked not to officiate a Premier League game this weekend after receiving abuse and death threats on social media after handing out 2 controversial red cards. See, I even forgot about the other one. Ben Yarek as well. See, this is, for me, he shouldn't have been able, obviously mistakes happen in it. But again, he's probably not going to referee at this weekend because of receiving abuse and death threats, which we don't condemn. But he should be taking it off it anyways. If you're a manager and you have 2 shaky bad games, you might lose your job. If you're a player and you have 2 bad games and cost your team a point, you're not at the starting lineup. So when a referee, not once but twice, is having a big impact on a game and getting the decisions wrong, he should be removed off it anyways, not relegation. Actually, do these referees, in the same way, if I'm a defender and I make a mistake, on the let's say I play for Arsenal, and on the Monday, Arteta and his coaching staff, they're going to show me, DG, you should have been tucking in here and whatnot. Did these referees, and forgive me if I'm wrong, because I'm ignorant on the subject, I don't really know what training referees go through and things like that. It's like feds, I don't know nothing about that. But yeah, it's like, when they make a mistake, like these 2 mistakes he's made, is he going to be sat down on a Monday and they're saying, listen, Mike, you made a mistake. Let's go and watch the incidents. Tell us how you saw it and we'll tell you where you can go right, so that this might not happen again. Let's be honest, referees are human, which is why we have to allow for a certain degree of human error. But this is just downright incompetence. And what I hate about refereeing as well is that, again, as much as they can, they need to remain impartial. I don't get that. We forget, you know, if you're a referee, you should be a fan of football, right? So just like me and you lot listening, he watches football. Let's just concede that he says Harry Kane is a diver. Let's say Harry Kane is legitimately taken out and fouled. Because his bias is Harry Kane's a diver, he might not give a potential penalty where it should be, and Spurs might not get 3 points or whatever in the example wherever you want to go. Now, obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'd love that. but it's about integrity. Once again, don't condone death threats, but he should have been taken off this for many other reasons, people. It's quite crazy. Apparently, the 52-year-old is still going to referee Wednesday's FA Cup game between Leicester and Brighton and may return to the Premier League the following weekend. If he does so, it is possible he could work alongside Lee Mason again, as officials generally work in groups. And to be fair with you, in both cases with these red cards, Dean chose to give a red card after being advised to view the incident on the pitch side monitor by the video assistant referee. His family sadly have been targeted, which obviously every sane person doesn't condone. As you can see, Thomas Souček's vexed, absolutely vexed. And with VAR, players are learning how to use it against things, people. So that's what it is in relation to Mike Dean, So yeah, it is what it is. Firmly, pardon me, in that regard. Apologies, people. I didn't plan on speaking about it, but Mike Dean death threats. Always, me, people always trying to keep up the task with timestamps for you guys. Who starts for England in a back four, in your opinion? To be fair, I don't have a clue. I'd guess and say the goal. We done so much. We ain't even speaking about goalies. The goalies concerns me. I'd like Dean Henderson to be trained up. Nick Pope looks a bit shaky, but he's done all right. I don't believe in Pickford one bit. Hopefully he does all right. It's difficult. It's really difficult because I could only pick three. I'd say Trent, obviously Trent's right back. Centre half off the top of my head, I'd go with John Stones and Maguire on current form. Maguire's going to play. John Stones on current form. Left back, probably on current form, Luke Shaw. But then we know we're blessed with fullbacks. Trent hasn't been at his best, but I'd say that. Pickford probably in goal. So I'm not too sure off the top of my head. But you get the point. And it's probably something along the lines of that, what I just said. Chilwell as well. How could I forget Chilwell gets a look in? Yeah, probably Chilwell. But I'd probably say, for me, I'd like to see John Stones on current form get a look in. But then again, it's probably going to be a back three. So who knows, man? I thought they got demoted, and they do. But it seems like there's no real scrutiny on these lot people, really and truly. I wouldn't like him. I wouldn't like him to ref ever again as well. It is what it is, man. Harry, I assume, or HRY has said, Deluded, despite Klopp's legacy, would you begin to question him after the recent results? The performances look so lackluster. Is it a concern for Liverpool fans? Well, nobody's above question. Pep Guardiola got questioned as well. And, you have to question Klopp. Again, we all know it's not all his fault. We know players haven't been informed, but it's down to Klopp to rebuild that team. And I think first and foremost, I'd look at the owners, because for a number of years, I do believe Klopp and the fans, they could see that Liverpool needs improvement. They've tried to get Fekir, they've tried to get Werner. That's a creative midfielder and that's a striker. That's told you to up the levels. For years, I used to tell Liverpool fans and just fans in general on my thing, I'm like, listen, they need a striker. Oh, but Firmino, this and that. They need a creator. Oh, but this and that. You need to evolve a squad, and that squad has been together for anything from 3 to 5 years. Teams find out how you play. You need to readopt things. Obviously, the question for Liverpool has been depth. They've done well last year, keeping the bulk of their team fit, but and any injury to any team will disrupt them. But like you've seen, when you're given a short straw, like they have several injuries, especially to their defense, you're at a push. And I just believe generally, beyond their starting 11, there isn't too much quality. Like generally, Salah, Mane, Firmino, they've all struggled at times in front of goals this season. Nobody's been able to carry the mantelpiece. So Origi off the bench isn't levels. In midfield, they brought in Thiago, which I think is a good signing and further confirms the need to adapt. But I don't know what it is in relation to Thiago. He's had injuries as well, but I don't know if he looks the best of fits for Liverpool. Ranch used to say that on his show, and I used to think, Ranch, you're bugging, and now I'm starting to see it. I do think he's a quality player and his quality will shine through, but is it the demands of the football? Klopp probably needs to reinvent himself and change his system and things like that to a slight degree, like he has shown. But I'd say injuries, time catching up with everybody, football working in cycles. These are all things. And I don't question Klopp. I think he's a good manager, but you have to question how he's going to turn it around, when he's going to turn it around, and how exactly is he going to turn it around? Because you've got to be able to reinvent yourself. And I think that's where Liverpool are right now. And they're going to be in that as well. When you look at it, yes, they've got a lot of youth dotted around, but Salah, Mane, Firmino, they're all in their peak primes right now. You know, you've got Milner and Wijnaldum who are in their peaks right now. You've got to reinvest and change up the squad and look to reinvent. And I think that's it. You do have to question it because they've gone from, at one point this season, because City were messing around, everyone was messing around, it looked like Liverpool were going to have the easiest title defense ever. And then now look, you know, they're a point behind Chelsea. Chelsea who have also been winning leagues, getting relegated and things like that. You know, we've been in front of Chelsea. We've been behind Chelsea. It's been a manic season. And Liverpool could have been doing what City's doing and challenging. They've made it harder than it needs to be. You know, they've conceded a lot of goals. Some of it for me has been down to, clearly a bulk of it has been down to injuries and not having that consistency. Some of it has just been stupid mistakes. Like, you know, Alisson's been a bad boy 9 times out of 10 for them. But there's been times Alisson switched off, Trent switched off, centre-halves have switched off, even Gomez and Van Dijk when they were fit. You know, it's just something's not there. And maybe it's a degree of complacency. You can never really think players or your team is of a level they actually aren't when you've won a title. You know, when you've won a title, that's when you should have the most urgency within changing the team. And I have to question Liverpool's owners because clearly they needed a centre half. Why is it taking so long to bust one? You know, they've needed a couple players to take them to the next level, and I don't know. And I used to use Liverpool as a way of a club that's moving forward, and I still believe that. But if that Coutinho money doesn't come in, do I see them getting Van Dijk and these things? Maybe in hindsight, no. So I used to praise the whole club. Now I'm looking at just the fans and Klopp and the players. You know, the board need to really help them move forward. So I think it's a case of everything, really. You know, bulk of it is injuries. And for Jurgen Klopp, sometimes he's played players that haven't needed to play. You know, clearly I don't think he rates that Preston centre-half, and he doesn't think Ozjan Kabac's levels right now. And for what I've seen with Kabac at Stuttgart, at Schalke, at Galatasaray, very good defender, very young and naive, very reactive. I understood why he wasn't thrown into the fray yesterday, but they're going to need to play sooner rather than later, sort of thing. So we'll have to see. But I'd say it's a bit of everything. And this is what I said when I previously said, I wonder how long Klopp is going to stay there. Because when you've won the league, the next thing is to try retain it. And then and rebuild, and he always needs rest and speaks about breaks. And you have to wonder, you know, having won the Champions League and the Premier League, got to the final and just missed out on the Premier League as well. So that's like 4 years in total. How much energy there is to it, or how much he is going to be the guy to change it. They do need to freshen up without a doubt. How much freshen up is going to happen, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Big up yourself for the question, though, anyways, my guy. And that's going to get added to the next time stamp. And Klopp turn it around. Bro, the manager don't have a PlayStation pad. It's true, bro. Like the manager don't have a PlayStation pad. They're not controlling the players. You know, you can give you all the information, but you've got to go out there and do the job, man. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Let's push this to 200 likes. What likes are we at? Big up the Twitch gang as well. Love to see all the Twitch gang involved. What sort of likes are we on now? We're on 139. Come on, people, man. Let's get that to 200. Come on, people. There's 265. It doesn't cost a thing. Please hit the like button. Come on, man. Now it's time to bring in female refs. Fair play. You know, whether they're man, female, whatever, just make sure they're good enough. Simple as that. Bro, fourth officials, everything's a myth, man. Everything's a myth. Because you're not big up Big Celt, because you're not allowed to criticize the media outlets, you're not all the journalists, and you're not allowed to criticize the referees. I don't know why. That just is what it is. And this is it as well, you know. Like I said, you know, we don't condone death threats and stuff, but I think it's a bit mad, you know. It's not like you said, it's not a repercussion for bad performances. It's because of something completely different. Fully facts, man. And this is it. But at the same time, I hear you. But at the same time, this is why we need more energy, because at the end of the day, VAR is not a supercomputer. It's not like Hawkeye or tennis and that. It's like me or you. It's like me sitting down in a room in a bespoke location and giving my opinion. Was it a foul? Wasn't? Yeah, it was a foul. I think you need to come and look at it and make your own thing. No, it wasn't a foul. Play on. It's not like it's a superhuman thing away from emotion. And as you lot know, I like that we have more angles and views to look at decisions, but isn't it a thing where now what I'm starting to find hard with Sky Sports and watching all of this stuff now is you can manipulate an image to look like a foul. Like they can show you 2 clips. One, it don't look like a foul. The next clip, you know, it's looking like my man's tried to chop off his leg. So it's confusing, man. It's absolutely confusing, man. Big up everybody nonetheless, man. What other things have I got to... What other things have I got to speak about, people? quickly as well, is Pep Guardiola back to his best now, people? Because people are forgetting who Pep Guardiola is. Like I said, for me personally, I thought with Pep Guardiola, you know, I judge him to his own high standards. So I couldn't understand how City was so behind Liverpool, how they were so behind other things. I think he's back to his best now. You know, they're defending great. They conceded a goal, which I don't feel they should have conceded. We're speaking about VAR and refereeing just now. How is that a foul for Salah? It looked like Salah just bought that one. But fair play. Diaz is unlucky with that, and things like that. Didn't keep a clean sheet yesterday, but historically, City are keeping more clean sheets. Their players are scoring. They missed several key players yesterday, and they're back to back people. You know, they're just back to business. I'm liking what Pep is doing. It looks like Pep is going to walk the league. For me, in relation to Pep Guardiola, what I want to see, not that I care because I'm not a City fan, but what I want to see is a bit more sort of these sort of tactics in Europe, because I've seen him do a madness in the Premier League. You know, he's won the league by 100 points. When I've seen Pep Guardiola, and we're going into the Champions League next week or the year after, next week or the week after, it just seems like in Europe, regardless of if they're playing the top teams or the lesser teams, it just feels like there's more shocks to the culture shocks Pep suffers in Europe, and that's where I guess we have to see Thingy a bit more. But I think Pep is back. You know, the team is playing well. A number of individuals are playing well. They've got that fight and grit and determination back. You know, Gundogan simplifies that. You know, Gundogan, if he was another player, he might get a couple more bread. You know, did he not, forgive me if I'm wrong, did he not get 2 goals yesterday after trying to hit it after that terrible penalty? You know, it was a great game. City versus Liverpool was great for me. I felt the first 20 minutes, I think Liverpool were over-respecting. I think when they came out the blocks, it was more of a goal. Second half, I think obviously they turned on the style. City, I'm referring to. I think Raheem Sterling terrorized Trent Alexander-Arnold. Foden's involved in like 3 of the goals. Bernardo, Gundogan, Cancelo, Edison, all these people stood up to be counted. I think Gab Jesus off the bench did well. I think Curtis Jones for Liverpool did well. So it was quite an interesting game to watch. You know, Alisson, I have no clue what Alisson was doing in that regards, people. I really have no clue, but I do think Pep is going back to his best. And like I said, with that false 9 stuff, who the hell is even playing in the false 9? This is why it's so interesting to watch. You know, I'm seeing Sterling do it, Foden do it, Gundogan do it, you know, Bernardo do it. I don't know who the hell's playing up front. Everyone's playing up front, but no one's playing up front. And it you know, you can never disrespect Guardiola. You can say he's a checkbook manager. You can say all of these things, but the trophies don't lie. All of these things don't lie. And I think Raheem Sterling actually is the 3rd top goal scorer of any players under Pep Guardiola now. Give credit to Raheem Sterling for developing, but you also got to give credit to Pep Guardiola, because do you remember I wouldn't even call Sterling as clinical. I love Sterling, as you lot know. I wouldn't call him clinical, but you know, before Pep Guardiola, he definitely couldn't be mentioned in the same sentence. So I think that typifies everything. Similar to that though, and kind of going back to the Liverpool thing and where it's all gone wrong. I just think they haven't done the business in the summer. I think the board has Liverpool's board has rested on their laurels. They've not brought in a man that can shake up that front three. They've not. I know they brought in Jota, but let's be real. Jota's exceeded expectations. He's a great player, but everybody was sitting there and going, "Wow, you know, he wasn't brought in to shake the tables of sorts." He's a great player, but he wasn't brought to shake the tables. I think they're missing some of these players. I think Liverpool's board, not Klopp, not the fans, not the players, they got complacent and they haven't tried to build on what they have. You know, there's not too much quality depth outside that team. You know, they brought in Minamino. Again, a year to the day, more or less, he was shipped out. So I think their recruitment hasn't been good enough to take them to the next level, with the exception of Thiago and things like that. And that's where they need to go. I think injuries, like you know, Klopp, you know, in one injury can derail a season, like you saw with City last year. But similar to what I was saying with Pep, Klopp is too good to have it derailed by that, you know. And yes, it's a factor, and there's been multiple, but they've been unable to adapt to that. I simply think they've been found out as well to a degree. And I think, like everyone, they're just part of this mad season now. Like, to be honest, you know, I don't know where I'd stand if you'd say it's a good or bad season for Liverpool. If they get top 4, they get top 4, and it could be defined as a good season considering the several factors that have been in play in relation to them right now. I also don't feel they kill games off. Like, the best example is West Brom when they got something out of the game. But I'd also say, of course, you know, top 4 can't be, you know, a top 4 can't be a considered good season for Liverpool. You know, first title after 30 years, you know, the next job is to retain it. And it's quite a woeful sort of thing. And I don't know the way if City keep going like this and Liverpool keep going like this, what are the points tally? What is the points tally going to say? So I don't think top four is good enough, but it shows it's a mad season. I would say it's a good season. On one hand, I'd say it's not, but on the other hand, considering the injuries, considering everything that I've said, you've only got Chelsea a point behind them. You've got Everton and West Ham close by. And Spurs are only 4 points behind them, regardless, people. So we'll have to see what happens firmly in that regards, man. It is what it is. Quickly going over, well, it firmly is what it is in that regards, people. Sorry, people. 46 to 49. And in fact, people, so apologies, that I can actually share the screen with you guys quickly. And this is actually, well, Jurgen Klopp himself has said it'd be a good season. He said, if you lose 4-1, it is of course not our day, but a big part of the game was a brilliant game from my side. We played really good football. I really liked it. In the first half, we played really good football against Man City. Where is it, people? Sorry, people, I'm trying to find it. He did speak about Phill Foden, but where is it, people? Top four. Where the hell is it, man? Sorry, people. Here it is. Here it is. Like he said here, Liverpool currently sit fourth. They're a point ahead of West Ham. And you just have to assume the priority is to try and stay in the Champions League. He said that is of course our main target. That is clear. We will try everything. There's enough games to play to secure that, but we have to win games, and tonight we didn't. So it's as simple as that. In that regards, people, firmly. Really. So yeah, make of that what you will. Really make of that what you will. I also want to speak about apologies. I want to speak about people. I want to speak about Manchester United. But before United, let's speak about Thomas Tuchel. Now, again, Thomas Tuchel, he ain't lost a game since he's taken over at Chelsea. He's beat Burnley, he won yesterday, drew against Wolves, he beat Spurs. That's 4 games, 3 clean sheets, 9 points in terms of winning and things like that. We'll have to see what happens in that regards. But one thing I like about Thomas Tuchel so far, again, who knows, because it happens under all new managers. When Emre, not saying he's Emre, but when Emre came in and Arteta, I was seeing my team look like a new team. Tactically, it was looking like there's plans and all those sort of things. Like even when we lost to Chelsea, we lost it in the last 15 minutes. We was gaining a lot of plaudits for that, people. Also, when we the United game, so maybe the novelty has to wear off and the whole gleam and stuff, and we see what the players are doing. But what I like about Thomas Tuchel is, again, it's early days, but looking at that, it's the same players from Lampard's Chelsea days, of course. But it's like they're putting the ball in the back of the net. It seems like they're not just passing for the sake of it. They're trying to get in behind. Definitely for the goal Werner set up. I think the first one where Chilwell was involved, and I think Mount scored it. Very good goal to witness. And there's invention, but there's intention now. Also, when he's playing a back three, you can see there's individual, like, proper goals for the players. If you're playing Reece James at fullback, he's going to play completely different to Callum Hudson-Odoi. You can see the way he changes it, even when it looks like he goes to a bit of a 3-4-3. Collectively, it looks like there's a system. Individually, it looks like every player is being used for a reason. Like when Alonso started and Azpilicueta started, there was a reason. Callum Hudson-Odoi, a reason. Obviously, Sheffield United set pieces and things, you're going to go with Giroud. There is a reason. Probably Kante doesn't get into his strongest lineup, but he understands there's going to be games he's going to need to start Kante. Same with Mount. And this is why I think too many conclusions were drawn on players, especially Mount. And Mount's a good player. You can never not have too many good players. And I think the difference with Lampard and Mount, Lampard use of Mount and Tuchel's, he will clearly use him frequently. But I do think they put him on a position. They used Mason Mount way too much, and he's not a player you should be relying on like that. In relation to Werner, obviously, the more you don't score, the more it's going to be itching at you, and he does look short on confidence. But I think he might start scoring now, because you always look, when you're not in form as a striker, are they still doing, when the striker's not in good form, are they doing the right things? And I think he was doing the right things. And he's been involved in 2 goals. He's won a penalty, forgive me if I'm wrong, and he got an assist, which was a good assist. So I think Werner will be back among the goals very soon. But again, Chelsea, the way the season is, you ain't got time to carry people, so you might not necessarily be in the lineup. Pardon me if you can't. Looking at Manchester United, people, I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come out and said they're not title challengers, people, which I don't agree with at all. I'm sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself was saying their title challenges and things like that, and that's gone. The reason why United are not maybe title challenges in his eyes anymore is down to themselves. The only criticisms you can have of United is that they can see cheap goals, they make individual errors, which could be said for us and a number of other teams. Fundamentally, they make games harder than it needs to be, even games they've won, like against Fulham at Fulham's place. And I think these things have been flattering. Obviously, a couple of times when you do that across the season, of course, it shows character. But 9 times out of 10, if you're not starting in the rest way, if you're having to make games harder than it needs to be, the manager's either not setting it up the right way or the players aren't. And I think Everton reflected that. It was a fantastic game to watch from the neutrals. First half, Everton just chasing shadows, United just slicing them open. Everton, I have to respect them for getting themselves back in the game. It shows great heart and determination and definitely not giving up right until the end. But Man United, that's where you got to look at the mentality. You should never concede a 2-0 lead. And that should be enough reason to say, you know what, we might have won, but we're still getting onto each other. Definitely when you go 3-2 ahead, you just need to get the points. So to lose that at the last moment, it's gut-wrenching, obviously, for them. Obviously, De Gea has to hold his hands up as well, and it's individual errors. If it's not De Gea one week, it's the next man the other. And until you crop out all of those things, you can forget about it, people. And things like that. And I'm sure indirectly they've been speaking about the title. It's Manchester United, man. You can't not speak about titles and whatnot at Man United. In relation to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, though, he said his side shouldn't be considered title challenges. He said, we're not talking about winning titles. This team has come a long way. We shouldn't be considered as title challenges. That's for you, the media. We've got to get better as a team and see where we end up. Going forward, we were very good, but we need to stop conceding easy goals. And, he said that. I remember when they played Liverpool in the FA Cup, the pre-game sort of stuff. It was by Bruno. Bruno says we concede early goals. We don't necessarily start games all the time in the best fashion. So until Man United stop conceding these stupid goals, they're not going to get anywhere, people. Mathematically, they should still be trying to look at the title. I know it's not realistic, and I don't disagree with what is being said by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but you never know. I think City walk away with it, but right now we've seen people get relegated, then back in top 4 shouts, now out of it again. City weren't involved in any title shouts, now they're in it. And things like that. I never thought Man United were in a title challenge, but I do think the language from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is changing because he didn't rule it out a few weeks ago. So we'll have to see, man. I think that's all I've got to speak about, really and truly. So yeah, let's see what questions you guys are saying. Obviously, I spoke about United. I spoke about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We spoke about all of those sort of things. Phill Foden as well. Not in title challenge. So yeah, not in the title challenge. Cancelo is underrated. He's keeping Walker out at the moment and can beat the press. Bro, he's a baller, I knew he's a baller, but when Arsenal played against City and I was seeing this guy left back, right back, left wing, right wing, centre mid, defensive mid, centre half, and had all the technical ability to go with it, it's crazy. So I fully agree with you. He's in my FPL team. I wonder how many FPL points he got, people. What have we got here? Master Yoda. Diving needs to be cracked down on, man. It's either a dive or a foul, no in between. Also, big fan of the mixed football chat. You articulate your thoughts brilliantly. Thank you very much. And in relation to, I think there's always going to be grey areas and in-betweens because that's how football is. It's quite complicated like that. I don't think it's always white and black as such. In two games, you could have the same incidents. And while I don't agree that in one incident it should be a foul and it shouldn't, sometimes it is. So I just think it's got to be cracked down. And I do think there's a difference between diving and playing for the contact. And we do have to understand not every bit of contact is a foul. Sometimes, just because it's soft contact doesn't mean it's not a foul, generally. And I think this has to go back to the refs. They don't read the game well enough. Big up all the yard men in the building. Jamaica, I love you. No, I love you. And the rest of the Caribbean and everywhere else in this world. Don't think you're ever left out. I hope you're all doing well and safe. Let's please get this to 200 likes, man. And whatnot. Come on. Skyter is saying hit the daily assist button, people. Come on. Man are saying Trevor said, do you think Maguire is the right manager to what am I saying? Do you think Maguire is the right man to captain Manchester United? Yeah. Maybe, to be honest, you would like to see Pogba as captain or something if I was a United fan. But at the same time, I'd say yes, because let's be real, he's captained England at a time. He's captained Leicester. I think he's got mentality. He just does some Kalam stuff. Very Kalam stuff. You know, and how long is Paul Pogba out for? How long is Paul Pogba out for? 'Cause I see him limp off, but I didn't do any research in relation to that. Saying that though, Ollie's provided an update on the injury on the official Man United website. So let me share this with you lot that don't actually, like me, don't have a clue at this moment in time. Also, let me zoom in a bit. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. He's giving him an update. Let's see, people. He's got a thigh. He said it looks like a muscle injury. So again, you know, he said we've just got to check him up tomorrow and have a scan and get him treatment. Hopefully he'll recover quickly. So, you know, Paul Pogba is having a good mini resurgent part to the season. A thigh, it could be like part A, which means you're out. You could be back next game. You could be out for a couple of games. I don't know. We'll have to wait for more to arise. But even then, I'm always weary of one single injury saying you're out of a title challenge because of one injury. Because I think a team like United, Liverpool, City shouldn't get there, man. Do you think De Gea is finished by his own previous standards? Yeah. You know, I have to say he's finished. And I think this week's been a mad week for goalkeeping errors. I think De Gea is finished by his own standards. I think, you know, United are going to have a decision to make because you've given De Gea a new deal. Dean Henderson's had to sit on his hands for a season and he hasn't gone on loan in January. So he wants to make a meal of it. I think they've got a decision to make because De Gea, it's not that he's bad every week. Let's be real. It's just he'll go quick. He'll play well again and everyone will forget. And then he'll just do some brain thing, some mad brain dead things where you think this ain't the De Gea that eventually found his feet after joining from Atletico. It's crazy, man. And they're saying Klopp out. Come on, man. You can't say Klopp out. Yeah, come on, man. The man's given a title after 30 years. He's made you look a force to be reckoned with. You actually signed good players. Come on, man. Can't say him out, man. Not yet, anyways. That you really don't get any time in football, man. You really don't get any time at football. Thoughts on Reece James at right wing back? I feel like he's not dynamic enough and does not have enough 1v1 ability for that role. Well, he can beat a man, but I do agree he's not a 1v1 demon, but I do think he's good enough in that role. I think Reece James is going to get a lot of game time under Thomas Tuchel because he's the perfect player for him. If he's playing a back three, you know, Reece James can be used in a midfield. And when you've got men around him, he can hide any potential deficiencies. He can play as a centre half. I think he can play as a wing back as well. You know, he can put in a cross. He can present some issues, you know. I think, you know, no better or worse than Trent in that regards of 1v1 against someone. I think he's all right, personally. See where you'd think of that, though. What else are you guys saying, man? Do you think we should go to a diamond 4-4-2 formation where Oba and Laka are up top? Because I think Oba needs help as a striker as he doesn't have much to his game apart from scoring. It could be something, but then we'd probably lose a lot of width, really. And we'd have to have an elite midfield. And I don't think we have the midfield options, excluding Partey, to be good enough at that, personally. Yeah, he defo can. I wouldn't say the best, but has a case to say top three. I'd have to sit down and think about it. But you know, he's a midfielder and he's up there for goals. As simple as that. Would like to have seen him in the bigger games have more to say. It's almost like even that now, you know, I've almost big up Bruno Fernandes for his goal against Everton. There's so many talking points. Forgotten about that. Bro, Kepa's a fraud. I haven't met someone fraud it. What have you said? Thoughts on McTominay and Fred pivot? Well, games where you're going to have less of the ball, I think is great. Games where you need a bit of quality, you know, there's problems there, really and truly. Really, you know, I think they're both decent players for the squad, but when you play them both together in games where you're going to have a lot of percent of possession, they're really going to give you nothing, in my opinion. But what do I know? Not much because I'm just sitting on YouTube. But yeah, a couple more questions in, people. I'm really appreciating you guys. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. You know, I've always said to you, like, I like talking about football from a neutral point of view quite consistently. And if there's nothing to talk about with Arsenal, what's the point? We're at 193 likes, people. That means 193 likes. That means there's 194. That means there's 6 of you being lazy. Hit the like button. It doesn't cost a thing, man. Please hit the like button. What other things? Get them questions in, people. Couple more as we approach the hour mark. A lot of fans I believe Reece James can play as a centre half. I've seen him do it as well. playing as a centre half in a back two and a back four are two different things. I need to see stuff to say in a back four, but definitely in a back three, I think he can play centre mid, centre half, and obviously at fullback. Bro, I'm seeing, is it Dermot Gallagher or whoever it is? I'm seeing people come out and say Saka should have been booked. Personally, I think I've offered my thoughts on that, man. I'm a fan of Callum Hudson-Odoi. You know, for me, it sounds stupid now, and I've kind of gone back on it. But I said when he's playing regularly, for me, he's with the Fodens and them man there that just play for England, build around them. He needs a platform to play. Simple as that. You know, if Callum gets a platform to play, he's gonna be happy. The bulk of his alleged unhappiness has been because the man ain't been playing. You know, clearly he don't care. I'm sure he does, but you don't care if you're playing right wing, right back, whatever, as long as you're playing. I think Callum's got the ability. And as an outsider looking in at Chelsea, I think maybe more so towards Lampard's end of his career, it just seemed like Callum was one of those players that's just, no matter what he does, he's never involved. Like, a couple of times he was coming off the bench and scoring or assisting or being involved. Like, even like I said earlier against Arsenal, he was involved for that goal that time he scored and made it a bit of a shaky finish sort of thing. You know, he actually got the assist after Mount played it down him. So I think Callum Hudson-Odoi is a baller. He just needs to play. You know, he's a bit like Reece Nelson in the sense of, I do think everything's kind of come easy at academy level. They've been hit kind of with some adversity. So I think he needs to play. I think he needs to have speed of decision. I think he just needs to polish up, you know, because a couple of times he'll dance past a man and he'll whistle a shot wide. End of the day, that's good play, but it's not a goal or an assist. So the bulk of it just comes with playing. And I think that's what all he needs. I think he looks like a simple player. He plays football. That's it, innit? He's going to be unhappy if he isn't. Baller. Hope he doesn't announce himself against Atletico, because obviously I want Chelsea to lose. I'm an Arsenal fan, but you get the point, man. Man has said, would you bring in Overmars in the summer to Arsenal? He is leaving Ajax in the summer. That should probably be one to speak about more so tomorrow. But yeah, why not, man? He's got experience. You know, he was trying his best to give us Hakim Ziyech. We didn't take it. You know, he's got experience. If there's a way Edu and him can coexist, why not? Obviously, if they can't, you know, Edu's not going to go. I do think experience can be overrated, but it can never be overstated. And I think that experience, them contacts, and especially the way Ajax have done it, that could help us. Obviously, we could talk about him being a former player, and that also helps. So, yeah, I would be all up for that if he is to leave, but it's probably not going to happen. Speaking of Reece Nelson, do you think he should have looked for a loan move this January? Apparently he did. Like, I've got to release it. For those of you who like my youth content, don't worry. Arsenal versus Chelsea, 2-2 draw. The video will be out shortly today as well. But yeah, he needs a loan. He shouldn't be playing for 23s at 23s football. He scored a free kick, but he needs a loan. It's a wasted season. You know, he looked like he was coming into a bit of form in December, got injured. I think what hurts him is, you know, you've got Pepe coming into form. You've got Saka, who's obviously displayed it. Martinelli's obviously shown his levels. And then obviously on top of that, Aubameyang can be used out wide. And then you've got Thingy as well, man. You've got what's his face? You've got the unhealthy obsession with Willian and playing Willian. So when you've got people playing better than you and you've got someone named Willian that's going to play no matter what, should have went on loan, man. You really should have went on loan. So it is what it is, man. It really is what it is in that regards. Do you think Odegaard will replace Smith Rowe in the 10, bro? I think I'll be looking at doing that in relation to Leeds. Not that Smith Rowe deserves to be dropped. I do think Odegaard deserves a start. There's a reason they wanted him. To be fair, they wanted a Michi of Arsenal, and he ain't hit the heights since he left the club, but he's still going to be a baller. I don't think he's better than the dunk one I get. I think he's better than Mings. I can't lie. I don't rate Mings too tough, really. But my opinion don't matter. Love for that, my guy. One more question. Who's winning the Prem? Manchester City. You can't look past them. But it is what it is, man. On that note, though, I've enjoyed the hour and 7 minutes I've been here, people. But I can't lie. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. I'm finna get that. I'll be back again tomorrow. If anything pops up with Arsenal today, I'll be back, but I'll probably be back tomorrow. You know me, I'm always here. You know, just make sure you're checking on YouTube anytime from 11:30 till 12 p.m. You know, you see a live stream 9 times out of 10. The latest will be 2 p.m. On any given day. But on that note, people, I'm out, man. Please make sure you're following all the socials. You know, please make sure you're doing up the Twitch gang. I love you. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. You know, the donations that have been, you know, there via PayPal, you lot have been looking at my description of my videos and going heavy with that. So I appreciate all the donations and everything. most important, I appreciate the fact that you lot are giving your time for this, man. So I really appreciate you guys. Please take care of yourselves. And you're right, bro. It's time to yam some food, man. I'm hungry, bro. I'm hungry. But on that note, Dav, appreciated that. Please, let's get this up to 200 likes. On that note, DG, I'm out.